Our next question will start with Mr. Patterson. Gabriella Dixon, an 18-year-old Macon native, has been missing since October 2023. Her family claims lack of support from the Bibb County Sheriff's Department. Are you familiar with this case? Is enough being done to find this young mother?
How does a story that a victim tells in her own words, months before her death, become the key to solving her murder? This isn't just another true crime story about a domestic violence case that ended in tragedy. This is a story about a digital cry for help, a series of posts that spelled out the danger with terrifying clarity, and the devastating question of why those warnings weren't enough to save her. At True Crime Unraveled TV, we look for the perspectives you won't find anywhere else, and the case of Gabriella Dixon is told not just through police reports, but through her own voice and her family's relentless fight, preserved online for the world to see. Gabriella Dixon was an 18-year-old mother of 2 in Macon, Georgia. To everyone around her, she was dedicated to her children, determined to build a better life. But on October 30th, 2023, she dropped her kids off at her mother's house and vanished. The last person to see her was the father of her children, Reginald Harris. When her 2-year-old daughter was asked where Mommy was, the child said something that would haunt the family. Mama was in blood. The older sibling tried to comfort the younger one, saying, "It was okay, Mama is sleeping." The search for Gabby began immediately. Her mother, Gabriella Dixon, knew something was terribly wrong. This was a young woman who called to check on her children constantly, but now her phone went straight to voicemail. Reginald Harris claimed she was at work, but her laptop, essential for her job, was still at home. His story didn't add up. His behavior was suspicious. For the family of Gabriella Dixon, the discovery of her remains in July 2024 was the devastating end of a nightmare that began 9 months earlier. But those 9 months were not a period of waiting. They were a relentless, grueling battle fought by her family against a system that seemed determined to underestimate what had happened. The official investigation, led by the Bibb County Sheriff's Office, was, from the family's perspective, moving with a frustrating lack of urgency. Despite the chilling account from Gabby's 2-year-old daughter and the well-documented history of extreme violence with Reginald Harris, the case remained firmly in the missing persons category. The police theory, at least initially, seemed to lean toward Gabby being a runaway, a notion her family knew was impossible. How could she be a runaway when her essential belongings, her laptop, her life were all left behind? Faced with what they felt was official inaction, Gabby's mother, Gabriella Dixon, took the investigation into her own hands, turning social media into both a command center and a megaphone. Her posts became a real-time diary of a mother's anguish and determination. She didn't just post a missing persons flyer. She posted videos pleading for help, organized search parties, and documented their efforts, showing the world the raw, unfiltered reality of their search. She shared posts of herself and family members combing through dense underbrush near Carolyn Creighton Park and along the Okmulgee River Trail. The videos showed a small army of loved ones and volunteers, not professional search teams, battling through thickets and debris, their faces etched with worry and exhaustion. In one heartfelt post, she lamented, "So, as you can see, it's just us searching. There's no help from the police department, with this search." This wasn't just a complaint. It was a public appeal for witnesses, for tips, for any shred of information that could lead them to Gabby. Her online campaign was a masterclass in applying public pressure. She raised the reward money from $5,000 to $10,000 out of her own pocket. She spoke directly to her daughter, writing messages like, "Where's Gabriella Dixon? Where's my child? I will see my daughter again. I'm trusting God for a miracle." Every post was a hammer against the wall of silence, ensuring that Gabby's face and name would not be forgotten. The family's suspicion of Reginald Harris was intense, but the case took a significant turn on November 17th. 2023, when a second man was arrested. Jatarvius Price, identified as Harris's cousin, was taken into custody and charged with making false statements and tampering with evidence. For the family, this was confirmation that their darkest fears were true. This was not a simple disappearance, and Harris likely did not act alone. The nature of the charge was haunting. An indictment would later accuse them of concealing a foam mattress and fabric, suggesting a deliberate effort to clean up a scene. Yet, bafflingly to the family, Jatarvius Price was released on bond the very next day. For Gabby's loved ones, this felt like a catastrophic failure. The man they believed helped cover up a murder was free, while they were left searching. The months dragged on. The family held vigils and peaceful rallies in front of the Bibb County Sheriff's Office. Gabby's stepfather, Daryl Searcy, expressed the family's profound frustration, feeling they were basically solving the case ourselves. This official response stands in stark contrast to the evidence Gabby herself had already provided. To understand what truly happened to her, you have to go back. You have to look at the evidence she left behind herself. Not in a diary, but on the internet. In the months before she disappeared, Gabby took to social media and detailed her life with Reginald Harris with a rawness that is almost difficult to hear. She didn't just say she was in a bad relationship. She wrote a step-by-step guide to her own manipulation. She explained how he isolated her. She wrote, "He knew I was shy and more introverted, so he encouraged me not to have friends and that we would be each other's friend. He knew I always had a hard time feeling pretty, so at first he made me feel more beautiful than anyone else ever did in my life. Then he made sure to point out my biggest insecurities. Then he would never compliment me, so I stopped feeling confident." She described the cycle of violence and apology. She wrote about the first time he hit her when she was 16 and how he promised it would never happen again. She documented the escalation, from hitting to choking to being held at gunpoint. She even posted a picture of a swollen eye, the first time he left visible proof. She explained why she felt she couldn't leave. "I have kids now, and they needed their dad in their life. He's a provider and makes things easier. I can get over temporary pain." Most hauntingly, she shared a poem. It was called "I Got Flowers Today." The poem describes a woman receiving flowers from her abuser after each violent episode. The final stanza reads, "I got flowers today. Today was a very special day. It was the day of my funeral. Last night, he killed me." This wasn't just a poem she liked. It was a prophecy she posted herself. The timeline is critical here. In September 2023, just weeks before she vanished, the abuse escalated dramatically. On September 3rd, Harris allegedly followed Gabby's car and opened fire while she, her children, and her new boyfriend were inside. She reported it to the police and showed them a threatening text from Harris that read, "Don't be surprised when I knock on the door." Then, on September 23rd, he allegedly choked her, held her at gunpoint, and threatened to kill her if she ever left him. Responding deputies saw the bruises on her neck and advised her to get a restraining order. Court records show no evidence that one was ever filed. She had physical proof. She had police reports. She had a digital paper trail of threats. She had her own powerful testimony online. And yet, on October 30th, she was alone with Reginald Harris. The break the family prayed for finally came, but it was not the one they wanted. On July 24th, 2024, construction workers in neighboring Monroe County found human remains in a wooded area. The red hair and the clothing matched Gabby's description. Her family was 99% sure it was her. The medical examiner would confirm she had been shot in the head. The location was a gut punch. It was less than a mile from where Jatarvius Price lived. With this discovery, the case the family always knew was a homicide was finally treated as one. Warrants were served. Reginald Harris, already in jail on unrelated domestic violence charges, was now formally charged with Gabby's murder. Jatarvius Price was rearrested, this time charged with conspiracy to commit murder. So the question isn't just who killed Gabriella Dixon. The real, much more complicated question is this: How does a young woman so clearly articulate her own danger and a family so doggedly pursue the truth, still struggle to be heard by the system designed to protect them? This case forces us to ask uncomfortable questions. When there is a known violent partner, a history of police calls, and a direct witness account from a child, at what point does protocol shift from looking for a living person to searching for evidence of a crime? Was the family forced to become investigators because the real investigation was slow to recognize the truth right in front of them? What do you think? Did the family's public pressure through social media ultimately force the hand of the investigation? Or did it follow its own necessary, albeit slow, course? Could earlier action based on the family's claims and Gabby's own posts have prevented Jatavius Price's release and potentially located Gabby sooner? Share your perspective on this difficult aspect of the case. If this look into the painful and proactive search for justice resonated with you, please show your support with a like. It helps this video reach others who follow these stories closely. For more deep dives into cases where the search for truth is just as compelling as the crime itself, follow True Crime Unraveled TV on TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube. We bring you the layers of the story that often go untold. The digital footprint doesn't lie.
Tonight, Gabby Dixon's stepfather speaking with us almost a week after construction workers found her body in Monroe County. Dixon went missing October 30th.
Since then, her family has held search parties and rallies with the hopes of finding her and bringing attention to unsolved missing persons cases. Now the family is turning to prosecutors to bring justice to those responsible for her death.
Camila Williams shares how the family has been doing since Gabby's body was identified a week ago.
How have you been?
We've been trying to make it. We're trying, just take one day at a time.
It's a process for Dura Cersei and the rest of the family since Gabby Dixon was found.
I think it's kind of rough that she was found so close to where one of the suspects were.
Cersei says Dixon's body was found almost a mile from where 19-year-old Jatavius Price lived. He says if they had looked near there, maybe they would have found her sooner.
Things happen, but we're glad that she's been found. It's more religious.
Cersei says the family didn't know who Price was until he was arrested. He says Dixon only knew Reginald Harris, the father of Dixon's children, who was charged with killing her.
And we just, seeking justice for our daughter. And that's basically what we're looking for.
Cersei says Dixon knew Harris since she was 15 years old. He says Harris was quiet and always kept to himself. Last year, 1 month before Dixon went missing, Warren showed Harris choked her, pointed a gun at her, and threatened to kill her.
Teenagers are going to be teenagers. So there's lots of that they keep away from us that we had no knowledge. Had we known, then the situation might have been different.
Now the family wants Macon District Attorney Anita Howard to put the evidence together and keep Harris and Price behind bars. While they know it will take time to take this case to trial, they are grateful to those who never forgot his daughter.
We thank them. Now, I guess, like I say, we're just waiting.
But Dixon's family says the process to justice will be one day at a time. In Macon, Camila Williams, 13 WMAZ News.
Now, Mr. Cersei says the family plans a memorial service for Gabby. Harris and Price are currently in the Bibb County Jail.